Hey, anyone who finds themselves watching this video, um, I just wanted to share some cool Unity editor tools that I've made to help with a game that I'm building. Just as a quick intro on what it is I'm building, this is not another Ultima Online client. It's a brand new game that's using Ultima Online assets. The vision is basically a multiplayer PvP game that looks and feels like Ultima Online. I'm basically building a game that I wish existed. I've loved Ultima Online for years, but as I've gotten older, I find less time to commit to MMO style games. And I just always find myself thinking about how cool it would be to have a game that looks and feels like Ultima, but it's a MOBA or an extraction looter type game, kind of like Arc Raiders. Imagine, you're creating your character, you're combining skills from Ultima Online to create a custom build like a mage or a fencer or a tamer or some combination of these. You load into a game world with your team along with other teams that may or may not be friendly. You head to a cool monster spawn like the Orc Fort. You do some killing, you get some good loot, and then you extract the Ramoon Gate, bringing back cool items that you found. Maybe you find a cloak that gives you some extra spell power that you could bring into your next match, but you also are at risk of losing. Um, and this is ultimately what I'm working towards, but the first milestone I'm working toward is just basic team deathmatch style matches, and I'm not too far from having that working. Um, so a couple things that I made to help bring in Ultima Online assets into the game, I just want to show you. The first one is this import UO map tool. Um, and so for an example, I'm just going to pull up some coordinates that I saved. Let's say I want to bring in, Britain Graveyard. I think that would be a cool place to have a fight. Um, some sort of team deathmatch style map. Uh, so let's just say the coordinates are at 1371 is the x coordinate, and the y coordinate is 1482. And I'm going to build a radius around this around these coordinates. So it's going to go 130 tiles in both x directions and 130 tiles in both y directions. Um, and then I'm just going to click generate map, and I'm going to let this do its thing. And so it's finished. And what this ultimately did was it read the Ultima Online mul files. It got the map data, the textures, the land textures, um, uh, the textures for the statics, and it creates assets for these automatically. So it created a grid, it created a sprite sheet with the land textures, it created a material for that. It generated a mesh to represent the terrain, and then it also created a tile map for the statics. And so that's ultimately what I'm using here. This grid is an isometric uh, Z is Y grid. Um, the terrain, I'm just using a 3D mesh, and then the statics are layered on top of it in a tile map. Um, so if I press play here, I get into my game and I have Britain Graveyard as a map. Um, so this is, I don't I'm not pulling in the impassable tiles yet, so my character can kind of walk through anything here. Um, but I'll be adding that part in next. Um, and I also the our player game object reads the starting point from the coordinates here. So when I press play, it automatically places me in world position in game into this map. Um, so that's one tool. I'm able to bring in uh, areas of of the game very easily and use them in my game. Um, so I don't have to build maps, and you can play in the Ultima Online world that we all know and love. Um, the other tool that I wanted to show off is my animation import. So, let's say I think it would be really cool to have a cloak in this game. Um, and I think that would look good on my player. I created this import UO animation tool. I can put the ID, the animation I want to pull in, and we're going to call it a cloak. And we're going to generate that. Cool. So it completed. And so this is reading, the Ultima Online binary animation data, and it's creating an animation controller in Unity. It creates a sprite atlas with all the frames, and then also all the actions and their transitions to those actions. Um, so if I were to fire the game back up, and I can join it, I can give my player a cloak. And I can change the color of it right here. Oh. And there you go. I brought in a cloak for my player from Ultima Online, and you can see all the animations are lined up, and um, it looks pretty good. So a lot more work to be done here. Um, if you look at some of my previous videos, you'll see that I have multiplayer working. I have the ability to create game lobbies, and I'm hosting those on AWS GameLift. So I have basic mage combat working. I have health regeneration, mana regeneration, poison, paralyze, flame strike, cure, heal, resurrect, death. All these things are implemented and working already. I think the next thing I'm going to do is add a teleport spell, because I think it would be cool to teleport onto these roofs here in Britain Graveyard. Um, and then I'll probably start working on some more melee type capabilities for characters to choose from. So anyway, that's all I have.